Now that we have a deployment agent in place, we can create our release definition. I'll click New Definition to start the process. I'll then do a quick search for IIS because, as I mentioned earlier, I'll be deploying our site to run within IIS. If you have a different web execution environment, you could choose something different. It asks me for an environment name, and I'll type production for that, since it's our real living doc site. Once I do that, I'll add an artifact that will be the built output that we want to make available to our release definition. I'll choose the build that we just created as our source, and then save the artifact settings. Then I'll come back into the environment box so we can provide our deployment details. The name of our website should probably not be default website, so I'll change that to Code with Kids. Note that I'm leaving the default binding of port 80 with all unassigned IP addresses alone. If you've got other websites running on your host, you may need to adjust these bindings. Now when I click the Manage task, I want to update the physical path where we'll place our content. I'll make that a subdirectory of www.root called Code with Kids. Using subdirectories here is not required, and you may have your own preferences for handling site content. Next, something that's easy to overlook is the package or folder, which is set with a default value that looks imposing. It's definitely not what we want, so we need to change that. I'll click the ellipsis next to the entry field, and because we specified the artifact from our build earlier, we can navigate to the doc site artifact folder and choose that. This is where we actually specify the content to deliver for this site. Once I do that, I see one last setting that needs our attention, so we can pop in and review that. Turns out we need to specify where we want the deployment actually sent, and this is where we'll specify the deployment group we created in the last clip. We'll save this, and then I'm noticing one more thing. Our release definition is named New Release Definition, which is probably not very helpful if we start getting a few of these things created. I'll use the pencil icon to edit the name to something more meaningful. Once again, I'll save the release definition, and now we should be ready to go. I'll click the plus release to actually add a release based on a real build and get prompted to see if there's anything I don't want to just let fly. There isn't, so I'll click Create. I'll then click on the Release 1 link that showed up in the banner to see the details of the current release. I can quickly see that the deployment status is in progress, which is great. And before I can even click on the Logs tab to see status as it goes, it's completed successfully. This means that I should be able to open a new browser tab and go to localhost/index.html and see if the deployment worked. And it did! I'll see you in the next clip where we'll make sure that we've got CI/CD fully enabled and verify it by making a change to the master branch.